You have skills in warehousing. Can you tell me what your skills are? He could say, I drive a forklift and I can lift 50 pounds. Or he could say, I have 7 years experience, I'm forklift trained, I can lift 50 pounds, I know how to organize, I can use a UPS machine. He's elaborating. The reason why I'm saying these are important because when that interview comes up and that employer is asking you, you want to take your opportunity then to maximize it. You don't want to get long-winded and talk for 2 or 3 minutes. You want to make it concise, but you want to highlight your skills, hard and soft. Is everybody clear what I mean when I say hard and soft skills? I gave you guys a list yesterday about hard and soft skills. Remember personal traits? A lot of these are soft skills. Okay? All right. But then I also gave you another list that says the top 10 work values employees look for. All of these are soft skills. So you want a mixture of hard and soft skills when you're interviewing. You want a mixture of hard and soft skills when you're developing your cover letter. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. Okay, so we have all the interviewing surveys. Now, this is something I want to pass off. This is called Watch Out the Top 10 Interviewing Questions Designed to Trick You. Okay? So when it says designed to trick you, that means that, take one and pass it down, should be enough going around. Tell me if it's not enough.
No.
It's not? One more? Pass this down to Mr. Ray, please. Okay. So we're not going to read all the small print, but I just want you guys to understand. Number one is kind of difficult. No, number one is clear. But number one says, why have you been out of work so long and how many others were laid off? This is an opportunity right here. If you've been laid off or been out of work, yes, sir.
That's me. Okay, that's it.
Okay, that's why you're not going to work one-on-one, because we're going to get you a lot of self-employed, a lot of things you might have done from a non-traditional approach to help you fill in those gaps. I promised you that. We're going to do that, okay? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this question may also be followed by more direct, why were you laid off? Now, you want to be as honest as possible, but you can also use what we call verbal gymnastics. So if you were laid off, that you could mention there was a massive layoff, and you were involved in one of those, you were one of those that were laid off. There could have been a downsizing, okay? There could have been your department was actually closed, okay? Because laid off is not bad as being terminated, okay? So people understand being, especially with this economy and downsizing and stuff, okay? You just don't want to say anything negative. Yes, ma'am.
What if your last job, instead of them saying how many others were laid out, what if you quit?
Then if you quit, you have to negotiate and say to yourself, how are you going to communicate that to the employer? Because employers, now if you can justify and say that maybe, you know, I became pregnant and I wanted to focus more on my child, so I terminated my employment with the agency. You could say, I've used an example, I went back to graduate school. So I gave them a 2-week notice and resigned and focused on graduate school. Some people relocated. So you have to be able to find something appropriate to say where it doesn't look like you just walked off the job. That's what you don't want to communicate. Okay? That makes sense?
I walked out for a job, I came back to work, and the next morning they told me I didn't have a job.
And that's usually what's going to happen. If you walk off a job, they're going to tell you you don't have a job anymore. So that's why we don't want to do it.
That's because it was an employee trying to fight me on the job.
You told me about that. I got that. So you and I talked one-on-one about, in the future, if that comes up, how to handle it differently, right? Yeah. Because what we don't want to communicate to employers is that we're going to walk off their job.
Yeah.
We're not going to show up. They're expecting us to be there and we don't show. Or they tell us to go take a lunch break and we don't come back. Or we're in the middle of production, everybody's needed, you need, and you just walk off. That's what you don't want to communicate. Okay? So, did I answer your question in a way, Ms. Hatton? So, I don't know the particular circumstances of your situation, but you want to frame it. Well, I'm not going to tell you to lie. All I'm going to say to you is that you want to use as non-threatening language as possible, okay? I don't believe in lying and embellishment, because it comes back to haunt you. Okay? All right. Another one here is that if